Hello, everybody. My name is Roy Nemmer of Mundo Albiceleste.com, and this is another video. And this time, it could only be one thing. It's the preliminary list. Lionel Scaloni has selected his players, or the preliminary list of players, for the match against Italy next month. And let's just get to it. Let's take a look at the list. Let's see who Scaloni has picked. Let's talk about the players. Who could play, who could not play, the surprises, the inclusions, the exclusions. Let's take a look at it, and let's begin with the goalkeepers. And we have, no surprise, Emiliano Martinez, Juan Musso, Geronimo Rulli, and Franco Armani. No real surprises there. Scaloni went with the four goalkeepers. It's three of the four that apparently he trusts. Three of the four that have been there since the Copa America. Rulli has become the fourth choice goalkeeper apparently. And look, I know some people were probably hoping to see Walter Benitez. I personally was not because I don't rate Benitez or because I don't like Benitez. I absolutely do. He's been tremendous with Nice in Ligue 1 this season. And if I'm not mistaken, he's even the Argentine with the most clean sheets in Europe this season. But no Benitez. I didn't get my hopes up for this one in regards to him being included. I know some people are not too happy in terms of seeing Franco Armani in there. But look, unless something crazy happens, he's going to be included in the World Cup squad. So, for me personally, as long as he's not the number one or even number two goalkeeper for Argentina, it's fine, right? He deserves respect. He came in at the worst possible time for Argentina in 2018 at the World Cup. Let's not forget he pulled off a great save, a penalty save against Paraguay in 2019 at the Copa America in the group stage. And chances are, if he doesn't pull that save off, Argentina don't even make the semifinals and ultimately finish third in the competition. So he does deserve the respect. And just based off of this list, Emiliano Martinez, undisputedly the number one goalkeeper. And number two appears to be Juan Musso. Third choice is, in all likelihood, Armani. And fourth choice is Rulli. So no Walter Benitez, no Ledesma of Cadiz. Ledesma was the goalkeeper for Argentina at the Olympics last year, but he's not included. Although he's had a pretty good season, a personal good season for him over in Spain, but he's not included. So those are the four: Emiliano Martinez, Juan Musso, Geronimo Rulli, and Franco Armani. Now, let's get to it. Let's get to the defenders, and this is one that it's the talk, right? It was the talk before the list came out, became the talk when the list came out, and the name Marco Senesi is there, but it's not just Marco Senesi. There are some other names in there as well. We have the likes of Gonzalo Montiel, Molina, Foyt, Martinez Cuarta, Cuti Romero, Pesela, Senesi, obviously, Nicolas Otamendi, Lisandro Martinez. We got Perez in there of Udinese, Tagliafico, and Marcos Acuna. Let's get to it. Let's talk about him, Senesi. Now, this is a player that, in all likelihood, I thought personally that we were not going to see him with the Argentina national team, at least not until after the World Cup. When Argentina qualified for the World Cup, there were two matches, right? You had the match against Ecuador, you had the match against Venezuela, the World Cup qualifiers. Not that they were meaningless, but Argentina had qualified and Scaloni tested out some players and could have tested out some players. And for me, I thought, hey, this is the time to test Senesi. If he could get into the squad, train with the team, see how he does, this could open the door for him. He wasn't included. Now, when he wasn't included for that match, I thought, oof, now this is probably it for Senesi in terms of before the World Cup. Now, the day where Scaloni announced his preliminary list of players, it was reported that Italian national team coach Roberto Mancini was actually going to include Senesi in his team, in his squad for the match against Argentina. Then reports came out that, well, wait a minute, Senesi was going to be called up by Argentina. And Senesi essentially is the first player in history to be called up by two national teams for the same match. Let that sink in a little bit. The same match for both teams. And according to reports, Senesi will be has chosen to play for Argentina. Now, Senesi, for those that are unaware, he has represented Argentina at youth level. He did play with Argentina at the 2017 Under World Cup, where he had a couple of familiar teammates. he had Juan Foyth, Gonzalo Montiel, Ezequiel Palacios, Lautaro Martinez, and Lisandro Martinez. So those 5 plus Senesi 6 were all teammates at the 2017 Under-20 World Cup. Now, that tournament did not go too well for Argentina. They ended up crashing out in the group stages. But those 6, presently part of the Argentina national team, were part of that team in 2017. Now, for Senesi, there is some competition, right? He is a central defender. He's a center back. And he's done well with Feyenoord. He's reached the European final with the club. But for Argentina, he's going to have to impress in training. And he's going to have to impress to the point where he can beat out a couple of other defenders. Now, if we take a look at the team, we have Nicolas Otamendi, who is the veteran, absolutely experienced. No doubt, he is a starter. So you have him. You have Pesela, who's also a center back. You have Christian Romero, who, when fit, when healthy, is the one starting alongside Nicolas Otamendi. You also have Martinez Cuarta in there, another center back. You have Perez, who's another center back, plus Senesi. So you have a couple of center backs in there. And for Senesi, he has the competition, right? So Otamendi, in all likelihood, will be a starter, no doubt about it. Christian Romero, Lisandro Martinez, another one in there. So Christian Romero and Lisandro Martinez both are fighting against time to be fit for the match. Both are out for the rest of the season for the respective clubs, although Ajax have already won the league in the Netherlands, so congratulations to them. But Lisandro Martinez, Christian Romero might not be fully fit for the match against Italy, which leaves Otamendi, Pesela, Martinez Cuarta, Perez, and Senesi. So you have 5 center backs, 2 to start at least that match. Now, I don't know what the odds are for Senesi, but the good news, or the very, very good news, at least for him and for Argentina, is the fact that he has been selected for the preliminary list. Now, he still has to get selected for the final list and hopefully show something in training. But this is a player that a lot of people here have constantly asked about since we first started this channel, even before the Copa America last year. People always said, is Senesi going to get picked for the Copa America? Is Senesi going to get picked for the World Cup qualifiers? Well, Senesi has been picked, and it's his time to shine right now. And if he could impress, assuming he gets selected for the final team, if he can impress in training, well, the door might be open for him for Qatar for the World Cup, because some players, their form has probably dipped a little bit in terms of the center backs. So some healthy competition coming in, and for Senesi, I mean, this is it for him, right? If he gets selected, he has to do well, and it's a great time if you're an Argentina fan, not just because they won the Copa America and not just because they qualified for the World Cup, but this team is playing so well, over 30 matches undefeated, and then you're able to bring in a defender like Senesi, a defender who has gotten interest from some top European teams. So very, very interesting times, and some good news if you're an Argentina fan. Now, those are the defenders. Let's move to the midfielders. And to the midfielders, it's a lot of familiar names. And we begin with Guido Rodriguez, Leandro Paredes, Nicolas Dominguez is back in the squad, Alexis McAllister, Rodrigo de Paul, Ezequiel Palacios, and Gio Lo Celso. So Nicolas Dominguez is one that was part of the Argentina team, which won the Copa America, ultimately got dropped for some of the matches recently, and now he finds himself back into the team. So maybe a chance for him to show what he can do once more for Argentina. He hasn't really gotten a lot of minutes, even at the Copa America and in the World Cup qualifiers. He's gotten very, very little minutes. So maybe in training now, end of the season, top form, see what he can do. The big news here is Leandro Paredes did get operated on in his groin, in the groin area at the beginning of April. And for him, like Christian Romero and like Lisandro Martinez, it's a race against time. It's a race against time for him to be fit for the match. And if Paredes is not fit, well, we could potentially see a Nicolas Dominguez in there. We could potentially see Alexis McAllister. And McAllister got some minutes. He played the matches against Venezuela and Ecuador in the last round of the World Cup qualifiers. And he's been selected once more. So maybe Scaloni maybe Scaloni likes the Brighton midfielder. Who knows? So if Paredes is out for that match, no doubt about it. Yes, it would be a big loss for Argentina. But if you take a look at the team, I mean, Paredes is out, yes, but you have Gio Lo Celso, who is in the best form of his career. You have Rodrigo de Paul. You have Guido Rodriguez, who could easily slot in for Paredes. And let's not forget, at one point in the Copa America, Paredes was starting one match, Guido was starting the other. So Argentina have some options in case Paredes doesn't make it. But fingers crossed. Let's hope he does make it. And now we get to the attack, and what an attack! What an attack! We have Lionel Messi, obviously. Alejandro Papu Gomez is back after missing the last couple of matches due to injury. Nicolas Gonzalez. Lucas Ocampos is back in as well. The Copa America hero, Angel Di Maria. You have Buendia of Aston Villa once more in the squad. Angel Correa. Paulo Dybala, big name in there, and we're going to get to him in just a second. Joaquin Correa. Julian Alvarez, the soon-to-be Manchester City player. Lucas Alario is back in the team after about a year. Alario is back in there, and Lautaro Martinez, the hitman, the absolute striker of Argentina right now. He, no doubt about it, no surprise, he's in the team. He missed out the last 2 matches for Argentina due to COVID, and he's healthy, he's back, he's scoring goals. At the time of recording, he just scored 2 goals for Inter, bringing him up to 21 goals this season in Serie A. Absolutely incredible by Lautaro, and can't wait to see what he has in store for us in these matches against Italy and potentially South Korea and even Israel, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But Lautaro, you cannot bet against him. You cannot bet against him. This man just doesn't know how to stop scoring at the moment, and he's just on fire. He's on fire, and it's good to see. Now, if we do have to have a substitute for Lautaro for whatever reason, and knock on wood, I don't know if you guys heard that. I just knocked on wood, but knock on wood, nothing happens to Lautaro, and he's fully fit and just firing on all cylinders. But if you do need a backup number 9, Lucas Alario is back in there, and Alario is an interesting case because he doesn't always get the minutes for Bayer Leverkusen. He doesn't always score for Bayer Leverkusen, but he's good in the air. He's good in the penalty area. He knows how to score when he plays with Argentina. When he puts on that shirt, when he puts on that sky blue and white shirt, he does well, and he has excelled in the past. And let's not forget that Alario was initially supposed to be selected for the Copa America, but he got injured right before, and recovery time was too long, so he was ultimately dropped, and he hasn't made the team since. And we've spoken about this in our live chats. You do need a backup striker to Lautaro Martinez. Lucas Alario could be it. The other one, Julian Alvarez, the man of the hour, so to speak. One of Manchester City's big signings, along with Haaland, of course. But he's going to be playing under Pep Guardiola. He's going to be playing under the potentially 2021-2022 Premier League champions. And he scored. He scored in the last match against Ecuador. Could he be the backup striker to Lautaro Martinez? Could it be him? Could it be Lucas Alario? It's not going to be Giovanni Simeone. It's not going to be Gio Simeone. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't been selected this time around. And Joaquin Correa has been tested a couple of times when Lautaro isn't there. Correa, more of a, he's a center forward. He's not a striker. He's not your number 9. He's a center forward. And he has, he's done formidably well when selected for Argentina. Hasn't necessarily always scored. He's missed some chances, but he's helped create some chances as well. But Scaloni, and this is something we've spoken about in the past, that number 9, if for whatever reason Lautaro needs to get, he's rested or this and that, who do you throw in? Well, by the looks of it, Lucas Alario, Julian Alvarez, and potentially Joaquin Correa. So those are the number 9s. If you take a look at it as a whole, Emiliano Buendia got his Argentina debut in the last matches. He's selected once more. And just overall, a solid team. The base and pretty much most, if not every single player that won the Copa America has been included this time around. So, I look at this, I look at the attack. Nicolas Gonzalez, that last match against Ecuador, I know he's gotten a lot of stick, but he showed against Ecuador why Scaloni selects him. You know, his work rate just incredible. His tracking back and even his dribbling, and he's done well in the debut season for Fiorentina this season in Italy. He's done well, so very excited to see how his progression goes with the Argentina national team. So those are the players. That's the attack. Alejandro Papu Gomez in there as well, as I mentioned. He's back in there. And there's one player. And it's Paulo Dybala. And I'm going to take a couple of moments here to discuss Dybala because I'm a fan of his. I've mentioned this in the past. I love Dybala. I think he's a tremendous talent. But for whatever reason, for Argentina, it hasn't worked. And I've said this before, and he just, fortunately for him, fortunately for Argentina and for myself, but he keeps getting these chances. But I've said it before, Dybala has to show up. It's now or never. He has to do well for Argentina because as big of a name as he is, his spot in the World Cup is far from secure, in my opinion. Because he does get selected, then he gets dropped. And when he does get selected, he doesn't always play. And when he does get selected and he does plays, he gets injured. So he hasn't really, if you really think of it, Dybala's last good match for Argentina was in 2019, that match against Chile where he scored and he played well. I know it was 3 years ago now, and I know obviously Argentina don't play every single day to think, wow, 3 years ago. But for the matches that he has gotten selected, I mean, even the match against Uruguay where he got the assist for Di Maria, he got the assist. But other than that, he didn't do too much, and he ultimately got injured in that first half and didn't start the second. So, I think he needs to do well. He needs to show up in training. He needs to, whatever minutes he does ultimately get, be it against Italy or against Israel or against South Korea, he has to do well. And he has to show that he belongs there because he does belong there. He has the talent for it. And one thing that he has going for him as well is, if rumors and reports are to be believed, and he confirmed this himself that he is leaving Juventus at the end of the season, but if reports are to be believed, he's going to be joining Lautaro Martinez and Joaquin Correa at Inter. So if you have a partnership of Lautaro and Dybala, that could benefit both. That could benefit the Argentina national team. That could benefit Scaloni. And that can only be good news. And for Dybala to go to Inter next season, build that friendship, build that chemistry with Lautaro, that could be his key to getting to the World Cup. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. There's still this match. He still has to play. He still has to perform. And, he can do it. He can do it. I believe he could. The talent is there. It's just he needs that bit of luck. And he hasn't always gotten it with Argentina. I'm not saying it's his fault, but he hasn't always gotten that luck with Argentina. He needs it. And I have no doubt that once he gets it, it's going to light a fire under him. And we're going to see a completely different Dybala. One that, that does the assist that he got for Di Maria, one that dribbles, one that gets the goals, and we're gonna get prime Dybala for Argentina. He just needs a bit of luck. He just needs that ball to go into the back of the net for him, and I have no doubt that he's gonna be just a lethal weapon for Argentina. Now, let me know what everybody thinks of the team. Was there someone that you thought, hey, I wanted him to be included, or, oh, why did this person get included? Let me know, leave a comment. Personally, I don't see this list getting better. Yes, you can throw in a Walter Benitez in there, but is Walter Benitez actually going to play? Probably not. He would probably be the fourth choice goalkeeper. There's no way he would get selected and play against Italy. Is there someone else that you would have included in there? Let me know. Leave a comment. And for Argentina, I mentioned this earlier, and we're going to get to it right now. The match against Brazil, right? That one got canceled. There's a video about it. But the one that I want to talk about is Argentina's potential matches in June. Against Italy, June 1st. That one is confirmed. There is a rumored friendly match against Israel that is on the table that looks like it's going to happen. And the other one against South Korea, which is a match I'm actually very excited for and hoping that it happens. I would love for Argentina to face, an Asian team, be it South Korea or Japan, to prepare against them. Israel could be a good test as well. Hopefully, one that doesn't involve too much traveling. If you're talking from London, from Italy, to play Italy in London, all the way to Israel, that's about a 4.5 hour flight. And then from there, depending on where the match is against South Korea, whether it's in Seoul, Korea, to fly over to there, that could be a bit of a trip, and then to fly back to Europe. So it depends. Depends on where that match takes place. But 3 opponents, 2 of which I'm very excited about. Italy, obviously, South Korea, just because it is South Korea, and their style, I think, could be a very, very good test. And Israel, if you want to look at the luck against Israel, or the history against Israel for Argentina, it's it's good news, right? It's having to play Israel before a World Cup, and well, we can do a separate video about that, about Argentina's history about playing Israel before a World Cup and how that is considered good news. But hey, a lot to look forward to, and a lot to look forward to on this channel. If you like what you saw, hit that like button, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit that notifications button to never miss a thing. Once more, my name is Roy Nemmer of Mundo Albiceleste.com, and thank you for watching.